Let's call to order the City of Milton Virtual Common Council meeting Tuesday, September 7th, 2021 at 6 p.m. And can I get confirmation of appropriate meeting notice?
Meeting notice was posted at Dave's Ace Hardware, Piggly Wiggly, and Milton City Hall.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. Pledge of Allegiance. That's over Inga's shoulder. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, public comments. Do we have any public comments? I see nobody in front of me. Is there anybody in the waiting room or the Zoom meeting that would like to have a comment at this time or any other item that's listed on the agenda?
There's no one in the waiting room, just to confirm that.
All right. Well, we're just going to move right into mayoral proclamations then. And so this is one that I discovered that I don't even think we did this ever. So it's kind of cool. International Underground Railroad Month, September 2021. Whereas the Underground Railroad was a secret network of routes and safe houses utilized by enslaved African Americans to escape to Canada, among other destinations, where they would not be subject to so-called fugitive slave laws during the lead up to the Civil War. And whereas between 1842 and 1861, more than 100 formerly enslaved individuals, including Caroline Quarles, the first freedom seeker to travel through Wisconsin, and Joshua Glover, whose liberation from a Milwaukee jail cemented our reputation as a staunch abolitionist state, were aided on their journey to freedom by Wisconsin residents. And whereas, while accounts of Underground Railroad experiences are scarce, as both those who traveled it and those who aided them had to be discreet about their activities, documentation relating to several courageous journeys through Wisconsin have since been uncovered. And whereas our state is committed to the preservation of our Underground Railroad history, and in fact, Wisconsin is home to the only authenticated underground tunnel used by freedom seekers in North America, located at the Milton House Museum in Milton. And whereas we recognize the efforts of the many people in Wisconsin and throughout the world who have dedicated their lives to keeping the memory of the Underground Railroad alive through the National Park Service's National Underground Railroad Network to Freedom and UNESCO Sites of Memory designations. And whereas this occasion provides an opportunity for all Wisconsinites and all Americans to acknowledge the contributions of the Underground Railroad to the eradication of slavery in the United States, and to reflect on our collective past and how it informs the systems of oppression that persist in our culture and institutions. And whereas this month, the state of Wisconsin commends the courage, determination, and resilience of the thousands of enslaved individuals who risked their lives on the Underground Railroad. And we reaffirm our commitment to creating a more just and equitable state and nation that would make these freedom seekers proud. Now, therefore, I, Anissa Welch, Mayor of the City of Milton, do hereby proclaim September 2021 as International Underground Railroad Month in the City of Milton. Very cool.
That is very cool.
Yep. And the governor had did that proclamation starting last year in September. Our next proclamation is of great importance to many young people in our city and all of those who love them. It is a proclamation for Halloween trick-or-treat hours. Whereas the city of Milton wishes a safe and festive Halloween celebration for its citizens and encourages participation in the gaiety of this holiday by both young and old. And whereas miniature ghosts, goblins, witches, and other mysterious creatures emerge each year on October 31st, and whereas they ring doorbells of their neighborhood and friends to extort goodies, and whereas the safety of these small creatures is assured by an accompanying adult and is a source of amusement and good cheer for both the very young and the older people whom they visit and entertain. Whereas I, Anissa Welch, Mayor of the City of Milton, proclaim Sunday, October 31st, 2021, Halloween in the City of Milton. Therefore, let it be known that Sunday, October 31st, 2021 shall be known as Halloween Trick or Treat Day, and the celebration will be observed between the hours of 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And that will be signed today as well. So we can get that information out early so everyone can make plans and it can go out in our utility newsletter. So we are anticipating that nothing will change between now and October 31st, except for, maybe snow or something, right? All right, going on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve it?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Discussion and possible action on 108 MW LLC's DBA Casa Fiesta application for a Class B retail license, fermented malt beverage, and Class C retail license for wine.
Okay, I can take that. And so Casa Fiesta applied for these two liquor license. They do qualify for Class C retail license wine because they are considered a restaurant. The police department did completed background checks and there was no issues noted. Director Robinson performed the inspection of the building back in June when the first portion of the application was filled out, and there was no issues. And the establishment meets the qualifications based on Wisconsin state statutes.
Any questions or concerns? Larry?
I have no questions or concerns. Thank you.
Devin?
No questions.
Teresa?
Just to restate my concern that I continue to state, this will be the 8th alcohol license within, a half mile, quarter mile. And that just is astounding that we would have 8 alcohol license within that short of distance in our community, that we are not looking at how to regulate that more appropriately.
Thanks, Teresa. Linda?
I agree with what Teresa said. I think that we need to be careful with our liquor license. We are a small community, and this oftentimes does put extra burden on our law enforcement, and it's something that we should always keep in mind.
Thanks, Linda. Ryan?
I don't have any questions.
Bill?
No questions.
Is there a motion?
I would move approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed?
Aye.
I
Okay, so as far as I can tell, 4 in favor and 2 against?
Correct.
Okay, that motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding a final plat for Journey Hills subdivision.
So this is the final plat for Journey Hills, which is the subdivision that's on North Janesville Street. This was originally proposed by Bonson Construction back in 2019. They had a preliminary plat run through our approval process and was approved. Since that time, Mr. Bonson has sold that property to Woodfield Homes, and they have brought forth the final plat for their first phase of development. This went before the Plan Commission earlier this evening and was unanimously approved. The big area of note on this is this is only the first phase of development, so this is the first 9 lots. And Mr. Jeff Leeson is on with us tonight as well. And they did extensive work with the city engineering staff and contracted engineers to remedy some of the stormwater concerns that were in this area. And we're certainly appreciative of that. The adjoining neighborhood, if you may recall, some of the adjoining neighborhood had some concerns about stormwater during the Bonson development discussions. And certainly Mr. Leeson has taken those concerns and done everything he can to address those. So there has been extensive work on the stormwater issues for this area to make sure that elevations are appropriate and the stormwater can be handled in an appropriate fashion. This first phase of development looks very similar to what Mr. Bonson had proposed for his development. Subsequent phases may look different than what Mr. Bonson had proposed, but at this point, we're only looking at the first phase of development, which is the first 9 lots. And staff has worked again extensively with Mr. Leeson. He's been tremendous to work with. So we are in full support of this final plat being brought forth for approval, so he can hopefully begin some construction activities yet this fall. Mark Langer, do you have anything else to add, or Howie?
Okay. We will just check in with council members. Bill, any questions or comments?
No, I don't believe so. I took a look at the stormwater report, and if I'm not mistaken, it almost looks as if the city's requirements are higher than DNR. Is that correct?
In this location, there is some additional requirements that had to be met due to the location of the site with respect to our well facility.
Okay. Looks very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Brian?
I don't have any questions or concerns.
Linda?
I think that the information that you had given us for this has just been incredible. And I know that it's taken a lot of work, and I just want to say I appreciate it. There were some comments from the Plan Commission meeting, some contingencies that were supposed to be met.
Yeah, as outlined in the memo for the council, the contingencies are the same that were presented to the Plan Commission. Those were the 4 items that were listed in your agenda materials tonight. The Plan Commission also requested an additional contingency related to the endangered species report that was conducted back in 2019, and they asked for that to be reviewed to make sure that nothing has changed since that time, which we don't believe it has, because nothing's in that area has changed since then. So we agreed that that would be an appropriate contingency, and we'll look into how that report, who constructed that report, and if there would be any changes to it.
It looks great.
Okay, Teresa?
No, I agree with everything that's been said so far. Thank you.
Devin?
I don't have any questions or concerns.
Larry?
Just a comment, Mr. Leeson, I really appreciate the effort on the stormwater retention. I live just a short hop away from the property in question, and as a private citizen, but also as representing my area there, and I appreciate the efforts. I think you're going to make or have made a lot of the citizens more comfortable with the development. So thank you for that.
All right. Any further questions or comments? Is there a motion? Linda?
I'll make a motion to approve the Journey Hills subdivision phase 1 with the contingencies listed.
The
And I would-
final plat.
I would add that the contingency, if you agree, Linda, since you were at the meeting, so you heard the contingencies that were included in the staff report, as well as the additional contingency that was recommended by the Plan Commission, if you so choose.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
Larry?
I will second that motion.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding a residential developers agreement for Journey Hills Residential Subdivision along North Janesville Street.
So as we have residential development occur in Milton, at least since I've been here, that always is accompanied by a residential developers agreement, which outlines the roles and responsibilities for the developer and the city in terms of construction of infrastructure, public infrastructure. The developers agreement that's attached is I would say it's nearly identical to the previous ones you've seen at Red Hawk Farms, as well as the developers agreement that was previously approved, Mr. Bonson. Staff has no concerns with the language in it, and Mr. Leeson and I have talked about some minor alterations in it that we believe we can accommodate. So the developers agreement as presented would be recommended approval from city staff as well as legal counsel who has reviewed it.
Linda, any questions or concerns?
No questions or comments?
Teresa?
No questions.
Devin?
No questions.
Larry?
No questions.
Bill?
No questions.
Ryan?
No questions.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the developer agreements with Woodfield Homes Incorporated subdivision.
Is there a second?
A second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Discussion, do we have a TEA grant agreement to discuss?
Just one real quick, because Mr. Leeson is still on here. Because you weren't at the Plan Commission meeting, Jeff, Mark and I will reach out to you tomorrow, either via email or give you a call regarding that additional contingency. I don't think it's anything that we can't turn around pretty quickly. So I appreciate all your efforts and your communications, very responsive. So I think we're going to have a wonderful development out there on the north side of town based on everything we've seen so far. So thank you, sir. All right. So yes, the T grant agreement as well as facilities use agreement are the final piece of the equation for the T track that will be extended from our existing spur along Putman Parkway to serve not only the Clausen Quality Chocolate site, but as well as all the land adjoining that and to the south. As you may recall, we did receive approval for the council approved the T grant application back in November. We received approval from the state. I believe it was back in March. The governor of the state of Wisconsin released a press release outlining this award. The T grant agreement and the facilities use agreement is the last step of the process that allows the work to be bidded and then ultimately be reimbursed for the work that's constructed. As you may recall, Clausen Quality Chocolates has agreed to pay for the entirety of the nearly 5,000 feet of track extension, which is in incredible benefit, obviously to them, but also to the community, and as a reflection of Clausen Quality Chocolates, overall just business model for the community and seeking not only what's best for them, but what's best for us. We've had a number of conversations back and forth between the city of Milton as well as the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, which ultimately is the entity responsible for our T grant agreement. In terms of language of the agreement, we are awaiting one, change to the document that you see in relation to section 6 that outlines the responsibilities of Clausen Quality Chocolates if they are to sell their land. We don't have that final language yet as of today. But in discussing that with Attorney Schrader, he believes that the council could approve the agreements as presented and authorize me to accept or make any changes to the agreement so long as they are not of a substantive nature, which we don't believe they will be, so we can keep this process moving forward. Unfortunately, this has drug on for a very long time. Clausen's Quality Chocolates is already out there, as you probably have seen, preparing the infrastructure, preparing Putman Parkway Extension. They could be constructing the rail, at least the rail bedding today, but they have to wait for this process to go through. So it's been a little frustrating both on our end and on Clausen's end, but Clausen has been very understanding that we are doing the best we can on our end to push this along as well. But this is where we're at. So in order to keep the process moving, we want to see if the council is willing to agree the agreement or approve the agreement as presented, knowing that there will be some additional language that obviously we'll vet through Attorney Schrader when it comes, so we can keep this process moving forward. Mark Langer, would you care to add anything to that? It's been a heck of a ride.
I don't really have anything. I mean, the plans, they've got plans developed that are being reviewed by the appropriate agencies. So, I mean, it's really kind of up to this document being completed.
This is based on DOT language modifications, right? That they're requesting.
Yep. Yeah.
So is there, so the grant is essentially approved, but there are some tweaks to the language. Is that my understanding of it?
Yeah, the grant award has been approved, and the grant agreement is the piece that we're still waiting on the additional language, or it's language in the facilities use agreement that outlines the responsibility of Clausen Chocolates if they are to ever sell their land, based on the job guarantees that they are guaranteeing as part of their award.
All right, so Bill Wilson, any questions?
No questions.
Ryan?
No questions.
Devin?
No questions.
Linda?
I think that this is a good way to keep this moving along. I don't have any questions.
Teresa, any questions or concerns?
No questions.
Larry?
No questions, just a comment. I have no concerns and I think Al and Attorney Schrader will handle things properly. And if something comes up, I'm sure they'll bring it forward. So.
Yep. Okay. Is there a motion then? And the motion is to.
I believe the appropriate motion, and if Mark Schrader wants to jump in, would be
Could you, Mark?
to approve the T grant agreement and facilities use agreement as presented, while authorizing the city administrator to accept any changes from the DOT so long as they are not of a substantive nature. Would that be appropriate, Mark Schrader?
Yes, that would be fine. It's the only thing we were discussing was language for specifically one small section of the T grant agreement, which was 6.3. There's really wasn't, as far as I'm aware, any issue with the facility use agreement.
Right. I think I had those. I misspoke and had those mixed up. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, that's the only language that we're looking to wordsmith, and there won't really be any substantive change there. Certainly nothing on the part of the municipality, nothing on it will change nothing in reference to the responsibilities of the city.
So moved.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Everybody got the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? All right, moving that project along. Okay, discussion and possible action regarding the homecoming parade application for a special event permit.
So in an effort to continue to try to match our practices with our policy, in searching through our ordinances when it comes to road closures and such, a homecoming parade, just like our July 4th parade, does require currently a special event permit in order to run that event. And so we prepared this documentation for both which committee, Jenny? The Public Works? Okay,
Public
somebody's
Works
nodding.
and Council, yes.
Yep, and the same material is in front of you tonight. Public Works approved it today. For those of you that have been around much longer than I have, it's the exact same homecoming parade we always have had. So there's really nothing new here for the event, other than we need to formalize our processes and get approvals before we start doing these sorts of things. So that's what's in front of you tonight for approval.
I'm just gonna do a general. Does anybody have any questions about the homecoming parade and the permit? Okay. It's not as controversial as I thought it might be now.
It
It's a
was
little bit
much more in the spring than it is right now. So yeah.
Right. So is there a motion to approve the special event for the homecoming parade, and it's September 17th, is that right?
I would move approval of the special event permit for the homecoming parade.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Thank you. Now, moving on. Discussion and possible action regarding the special event approval process.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a project that I've been working on of the special event permit approval process. There is an ordinance that we've been following, and it basically states that any planned extraordinary occurrences occurring on public premise or the right of way needs to be approved and follows this particular ordinance, and it depends on the size. So it first goes to the police department, Public Works Director, and the city clerk for approval. And then if it is over 50 people that are planning to attend, then it goes to Public Works and the council. Unless a waiver is given by the city administrator, notice needs to go out to all of the either residential owners and or property owners. So that is what we would like to find out, though, is this the ordinance that you would like to continue with? Or do we need clarification, changes to it? Attorney Schrader and I have been working on 3 different options that I'm presenting. These were presented to staff, and option 1 and option 2 were the ones they would prefer as far as it being the most advantageous, but we'd like to get your direction before we go and present an ordinance. So some of the items that we've come across as example is the farmer's market. With the farmer's market being held on the school district parking lot, and then we did not need approval, but once they changed it to include the right of way, the road, then that changed it. Some events also that we don't have any direction at this point are public events on private property. So if they're on private property, then should we have an approval process? Do we need a special event permit? Is it based off of how many people? And so that's what we're kind of looking for, a little bit of direction from the council so that we can go to the next step and get a little bit of a clarification.
I have a question about the private property, when we're talking about private property over a certain amount. Would that mean that like church weddings
That's the question. So right now, I will give an example of Milton Mega Markets. That is on private property. They have their event there. They do not request any services, but we requested that they have a special event permit application filled out and approved. But for in the past, right now, for church weddings, or if someone is using their backyard and they have 300 people there, we don't have any guidance at this point. So that's the question. That is one of the questions that's coming up. Is public events on public premises, or so including city parks, or just the right of way, and then also public events on private property. So where public it is able to come, and then that would be, so church weddings would be private property, but they would be private events.
But it wouldn't be church services
No, so that would most likely be inside the building.
or basketball games, or I don't know. It just seems like I guess I typically don't weigh in on too much stuff, but the private property part of it seems a little bit of government overreach.
And then with that though, for the 4th of July event, that is considered on private property because it's school district property, but it does have a temp class B license issued. So if you'd like to have approval for that. So the option 1, we can just go through each option, is for public events on public premises, that includes all city parks, city streets, or sidewalks, must fill out the application and receive a permit. And then public events on private properties that include the requirement for a temp class B or city services must fill out a permit. So again, that's example of if the farmer's market needs barricades, they would need approval because they're using city services, or the 4th of July at Schilberg Park would need that permit application. And
I have a question. If I have a party in my backyard and I have more than 100 people, I gotta get a alcohol license? No, okay.
No,
all right.
No, if it's a private property and you're not giving it, and you're only giving it away, no, you would not.
Okay.
So that is the concern that some organizations have brought up in the short time that I've been here, that said, well, why do I need a permit if your ordinance doesn't require it? So we're just trying to have a little clarification on that.
Okay.
And so and then going through that, once that approval, what you decide on that approval is, should Public Works be approving it? Should council be approving every single one? Or is it the police chief, Public Works, and city clerk?
Linda?
I like the idea of the police chief, public works, and city clerk. Just feel like there's, unless it's something that could create a controversy or has already had a controversy. I think that they know what they are doing and they know what we expect. There's no reason for things to be held up and put on our agendas, I don't think, unless it needs to be.
So that's more like option 1?
Yes. Yeah, that sounds like option 1, but because I did include in there if there are any concerns expressed with the approval. So if the police chief says, no, I would not like to approve it, then they would still have the option to go to council to ask for that final determination. So that's their next option. It wouldn't be an automatic denial.
Is there in any of these, I was, is there an appeal process to the council if
Yes, option 1 includes that. If there's any concerns expressed, then yes, it would go to council if they choose to, or could be considered automatic. They would go to council for that final determination if any of the departments have any issues with it.
So when we talk about concerns, we're talking about concerns with folks that are requesting a permit, or concerns from the public?
If there's any reason well, that's a good question. It could be either. It could be if the city approves it and then someone else says, no, I really don't think this should be approved. Then it they could go to the council to request it to no longer be approved. That, I mean, that would be an option if they choose to. They include that in the ordinance. And then the last part of this is city service fees. So if in option one, I've included city service fees may be waived for events hosted by nonprofits, but if it's a for-profit event, then they would need to go to council if they would prefer to have those fees waived. So from what I understand, I believe it's Wally's Fest, they did have to pay for fees, but many of the other nonprofits did not. So that's why I included that note in there.
So I'm just gonna focus on option one. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about option one? Ryan?
No, that's what I was gonna suggest as being one I like best was option one. So,
Okay, Teresa?
Yes, I support number one. I guess what always has been a question that comes up publicly and even personally, is there a line that's drawn with just a small group or casually that gets together with, maybe 6, 7 people for a family and has a 6-pack of beer or something, but has never applied for a permit, but sits down and has a little picnic?
Like a little party in the park?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody want to answer Teresa's question?
I'm going to try. I'm going to need some assistance with this, but if it's part of a park rental, then, and it's one of the parks that the ordinance allows alcohol in, and it's being given away, it's fine. I don't know, and maybe Scott, you can answer this. Has there been any issues if someone brings it into a park that doesn't allow alcohol based on the ordinance?
Well, I'm going to repeat myself from earlier, is matching our practice with our policies and ordinances. Again, predating my arrival or shortly around that time, you might recall that there was events taking place in the evenings in North Goodrich Park, where there was a band and gatherings and such.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was an approval process to allow people to have wine at that event. I think that came in front of the council.
Mm-hmm.
But North Goodrich Park is not one of the parks that is allowed to have alcohol per our ordinances.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been something that I've been working on and have been kind of waiting to see with Jenny on how this discussion goes tonight before we move on to other things, not to bite off too many projects at once here. But finding a way to match those practices is good. The issue with 6 or 7 people on their own just going to North Goodrich and grabbing a picnic table and having a 6-pack of beer, technically by our ordinances, that isn't allowed. They are in public space without applying for any permit to have that alcohol there. They're in a park that is not listed in our ordinances as allowing alcohol.
I just see it. I see it happening a lot, but I certainly never police it or anything, that people find a beautiful day and go out and just take some alcohol with them because they find it a nice way to spend their afternoon. But yeah, I'm not sure what we do about it.
And I would say that we don't, my direction to my staff is very behavior based. So if it's alcohol plus rowdiness and people getting hurt and fighting, well, that's a different story than 6 guys in their 50s that just have a picnic. We would probably never find out about that. Something that we would never know about.
Okay, but I agree. If there's behavior or something with it that shows some sign of abusing it, that it has to be addressed.
And that segues nicely in just one of the comments that I'd like to make, if I can take the time to do that now, is no matter what the permit process looks like in the end, or what our ordinances look like in the end, as far as special events go, people are still bound by the statutes and ordinances that control underage drinking and noise violations and providing alcohol to underage. All of those things will still apply whether or not a permit is appropriate in that circumstance or not. We still have loud noise ordinances. So if it's a completely private event for private people with a band in a backyard and it's so loud that it's out of control, well, there are ordinances that will still apply to that, even though there was never a permit that was a part of the conversation.
Okay.
So just wanted to clarify that too.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Linda, option 1, questions or clarification, comments?
No, I actually like I like option 1. I think that's a good one. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Teresa, about just a group of people, pulling up next to a park. We're right here next to campgrounds. I mean, somebody could leave a family reunion and 4 of them stop off at the park and, oh, here, I've got leftover and I got some beer in my cooler.
Yeah.
We could have that a lot.
Yeah. I think they do.
Well, I would then suggest that a follow-up conversation that we might have to have later is amending our ordinances to allow that to take place.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like Mark's got.
Mark?
Oh, Mark.
Or which Mark?
Mark, yes, I guess.
Here?
Just to comment, I think consistent with what Chief Markwort's indicating is that the discussion regarding the private consumption of alcohol at a private event is one, it is not, private events are not covered by your public event permit process. These are public events on either public property or private property. So number 1. So the event you're talking about with a small group of people who are at a private event around a picnic table, that's not covered, period. And the discussion about where alcohol, because that's really all you're talking about, because public events are much more than just alcohol consumption. But if there's an issue of alcohol consumption, the public event or the public event permit does not address where that can take place. That's still covered by your ordinances, which regulate what parks can have alcohol in what locations. So that's separate. And if you want to address that, you would need to address that separate from the public event permit ordinance. So just to clarify that, and I think that's consistent with what you're saying, Chief, in terms of the question about alcohol consumption wherever. But so there's that issue, and that's a separate issue. And there's private events versus public events. And this ordinance only covers public events. And so what's being addressed here is expanding that to coverage on private property, but it still would need to be a public event. As an example, a wedding is not a public event. That's a private event. So if that gives any kind of clarification as opposed to the 4th of July at the school district park, that's a public event. Right now, it's not covered, but under the option 1 could be, presuming that they would apply for a picnic license for the serving of alcohol. So that helps the discussion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Devin, any questions or comments?
I would be in favor of option 1.
Larry?
Yeah, I'm in favor of option 1, and especially with the clarification from Mark and Chief. I was envisioning, I was trying to separate what public on private property is versus a private on private property event. And I guess the difference as I hear it now is if let's use my backyard, if I'm having an event in my backyard and I put out invitations, that is a private event on private property, at least as I hear it. Now, if I have a party in my backyard and tell all the neighborhood to come on over, that may be more of a public event, correct? Okay, that's all I want.
It could be. I mean,
Yeah.
if you,
If the whole city can come.
Well, yeah. I hear.
Yeah, even inviting your local neighbors could still be a private event. But if you put it on Facebook,
Yeah,
that's
right.
shared widely, that anyone, regardless of where you live, can come and join my party, then that
Yeah.
flips the line into a public.
Okay, that's helpful. So then one makes sense to me. So thank you. Option one, I mean. So
Bill Wilson,
I'm comfortable with one.
okay. Do you guys want to move on to option 2 and discuss it at all? Or should we does somebody want to make a motion about option 1? Linda?
I would just make a motion to approve option 1 for the special event permit applications.
Is there a second?
Just, Mayor,
Yes.
just for clarification on the motion, is the motion to direct staff to prepare an amendment to the special event permit ordinance consistent with option 1?
Yeah, I'm sure that's what Linda said.
I'm sure. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any comments or clarification or questions by anyone? All those in favor?
I,
Hey.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, all right, good discussion. Discussion and possible action on the purchase of playground equipment for North Goodrich Park.
So I can take this. The Parks and Recreation Commission over the last few months since the beginning of the year, we've been talking about playground equipment for North Goodrich Park. It's something that was included in the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan that was approved by council and the Parks and Recreation Commission in 2020. We were looking at spending about $35,000 from the park fund. The park fund is at about $65,000 right now. And included in the agenda materials was a quote from a few months ago for $35,000 for the playground equipment that was selected. Since then, there's been some changes in material costs. So that quote went to $37,492.60. The commission reviewed designs from 4 different companies. They initially went to those companies and asked for playground designs in the range of the $35,000. They received those back, gave notes to the playground companies, and then received final designs to consider. And they decided to go with one from Minnesota, Wisconsin Playground. And that design is included in the packet. The playground equipment will be added to North Goodrich Park. There's no intention to remove anything except potentially one of the swing set pieces to make room for the new swing set that's going to be going in. And then, sorry, Mayor, the merry-go-round, we're also looking at replacing with the one that's included in the design. The playground equipment will go kind of in the middle of where there's kind of a horseshoe shape for the playground equipment that's existing. And in the middle is a digger. So we're looking at moving that digger off to the side where some other sand toys, I guess, are located. Howie, did you have anything else to add?
No, that's all right. No.
Okay. Mark, did you have anything to add? I think based on your email, we're good to approve. Sorry, Mark S.
No, I had reviewed everything, and it's my opinion that the council has authority to approve the purchase of this following the procedure you've already followed to date, rather than having to engage in the public bid requirement process. Understanding that the city staff will be in charge of actually assembling the equipment at site.
Yeah. And it'll probably be a next spring construction, just estimated on the time to get the equipment.
And then do city staff have to take down and move the old equipment around?
Yes,
So like if a
Some
kid
of
is
it.
chained to the merry-go-round, that could be problematic.
Yes, potentially.
Protesters.
We'd prefer to avoid that, but
I have time to organize.
He wants it in her backyard.
I don't even have a backyard anymore.
in your living room, maybe we could.
My living room, yes. Let me talk to my landlord.
But no beer while you're on the merry-go-round.
That's right.
Well,
Could put
that
it behind
just
City
throws that
Hall.
Okay. Any questions or comments from anybody? So we're looking at a motion to approve the purchase of the playground equipment with the revised amount.
Yes.
I'll make that
Anybody
motion.
want any contingencies on this? Not get any.
Like to keep the merry-go-round.
Sorry.
I'll make the
just-
motion to approve the purchase of playground equipment for the new revised amount.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay. Any general items or committee reports, Bill? No? I feel like Bill didn't hear me.
No?
Oh. Or I didn't hear Bill. Okay. Ryan?
Historic preservation meets tomorrow.
Okay. Teresa,
No,
Linda,
No.
Devin,
Nope.
Larry?
Oh,
Wow, staff reports, Jenny.
On August 26th, Board of Review met and there were no hearings. So everything has been complete and submitted to the Wisconsin Department of Revenue. Also, we will be talking about liquor licenses again on the next agenda. So Susie Hughes will have has a potential new owner, and that's going to be called Bushwood Country Club, and that background check just went through. And Tammy, who is our new city employee, she started and everything has been working well. So she'll be starting to take over some of the accounts receivable and accounts payable, but it's been working out really well. So that's all that I have.
Thank you. Chief?
About the first week of school has concluded and things have been going well. You probably saw my news release that we have a new crossing guard that's helping us out in the afternoons at the middle school and at North Side. We have another applicant that we're working on right now that has agreed to be a substitute. So it's very nice to have our crossing guard staff fully staffed with one extra because it's can get busy out there. We've had a number of traffic problems reported to us, but that's really no different this year than it has been any other year. As people start learning schedules and traffic patterns and things such as that, I think the traffic issues will mellow out here within the next couple of weeks. We are in a continuing to be in a position where the places that are schools that have been placed and the designs that were done to build those schools did not contemplate the amount of individual cars coming to pick up individual kids. And it will continue to be a problem that it's likely we as a city are unable to fix, and just ask people to be patient because that's about all we have. That's all I got.
Okay. Ashley?
Our new employee Denise started about 2 hours ago. So we're excited to bring another person to our library team. And with that, we are now back open to our full hours. So we're open till 8 o'clock on Monday and Tuesdays, and we're back open on Sundays from 1 to 4. Our food truck rally was successful. So thank you to everyone who came out to support the library, to eat delicious food, and we'll for sure do it again next year. September is library card sign up month, and we set a goal to issue 60 new library cards. And if we reach that goal, 5 lucky patrons will be able to color bomb library staff with colored powder. So if you haven't gotten your card yet, why haven't you? A library card is pretty awesome. It gives you access to tons of free materials and resources. So come get your library card so staff can get color bombed. And they've been working on the library roof the past week and a half, I believe, and hopefully they'll be done soon.
So it can be children's library cards too, right?
Yes. So library card sign up month is kind of geared towards kindergartners to get their first very important card. So Jamie will be creating a video to reach out to all the kindergartners, but anybody, of course, can get a library card.
And they don't have to live in the city of Milton.
Not necessarily, no. If you have questions about it, you can certainly give us a call or stop on in and we'll get you set up.
Okay, so I figured, like, I counted all of the little squares here, and I figure if all of us got 5 people to get a library card, that would meet the goal. Like, this is not very much it will take to meet the goal. So I'm just putting that out there. Especially if you have children that don't have library cards, and they don't have to be 5. Like, they just have to have a birth certificate or something.
Yep, we always say it's up to the parent. We always have those as young as 1 get their first library card. So,
all right, I'm sure there's people here that have children that don't have library cards yet, but I will not name names. Okay, Howie.
Okay, they're starting to flush hydrants this week. They worked on getting the bike racks finished, except the one at the library yet. Doing brush collection. There's street projects that Mark might go over, like Cottonwood and Blanche are ready to be paved when the contractor shows up. Seal coating is going on this week. And then the splash park's still open, and it looks like it's supposed to be 90 this weekend and upper 70s until just about the last week in September. So if it stays that warm, we'll just keep it open. So
nice.
Yeah.
Mark E.
So Cottonwood and Blanche are scheduled to be paved next week. They'll be milling Blanche Drive. Right now it's scheduled for Friday. That, how we kind of touched on a few other items. Blood service line program still going on. And that. Yeah, that's about it.
Putman's going in too.
What's that?
Out at Putman's getting finished up too.
Oh, yeah, the
They're
utility work.
working on it. Yeah.
That'll be finished. The utility installations will be done end of next week is what their schedule is. They'll have some testing and that kind of work to do. They're hoping to put curb and gutter in out there. Sounds like the end of September. So
Awesome. Inga?
Just quick, the Veterans Memorial bricks, they're going to have another placement before Veterans Day, and the deadline is September 30th to place an order. And then on October 9th and 23rd, there's going to be prairie seed collections. On October 9th, we'll be at Crossridge Park, and on October 23rd, we'll be at Tower Hill Park. And those are both from 10 a.m. to noon. And we'll have information about that in the utility bill newsletter and on the website soon.
All righty. Al.
The budget process is somewhat underway. We got our levy limit worksheets over the weekend, so that kind of, that if there is an official kickoff to it, that's what it is. So already started to meet with some staff to go over their individual department budgets. Doesn't look like there's going to be anything too crazy this year, so that's a good sign. We got our insurance renewal back with a 0% increase, which I've never seen before, so that's good news. It's really good news for us. But, you know, we'll work through the process and As they say every year, we will have a balanced budget because we have to. So that's how we proceed.
Well, I'm planning on increasing the mayor and council budget significantly. Just be prepared for that. So y'all, all the other departments need to cut your budgets. So thank you for all those updates. And one thing I wanted to talk about before we jump into team building, which I know you're all excited about. In October is the League of Municipalities conference for elected officials. So if you haven't received an email to sign up, please sign up. Please, as many of you that can. It's a great conference, and I know it's been limited and virtual, but this year it's in person, so in Green Bay. So take that opportunity if you haven't, and of course they have safety precautions for that. All right, ready? So there's a mandatory meeting, and it's a costume Halloween party. So tell me what costume you're going to be wearing. I'm going to be Minnie Mouse, just to start it off.
Is it's work related? Is that what you said?
Yeah. The city is sponsoring it, and it's mandatory that you show up in a costume.
I like this idea.
See, I knew it.
We were just talking about city hall staff and possibly public works of what their costumes, if we were doing a group theme or not.
I know we're on the same wavelength here. I don't know about this. You should be scared. Jenny and I are plotting fun things.
I'm going to be Groucho Marx.
Okay.
Groucho glasses and big mustache. And a
And
cigar.
will you go to the county board meeting like that too, please?
Sure.
Well, it's possible that Howie won't be with us by the time Halloween comes along, so I'm going to dress up like Howie. See if anybody notices.
There you go.
I'm not letting Howie retire before Halloween. Larry.
Stephen Hawking.
Ah,
There you go.
I think it would be great.
It will be great. We'll have great conversations too.
Yes.
Great debates, great scientific debates. In a park over a six-pack. Devin?
I am a big fan of the Peanuts, so I will copy Charlie Brown and cut too many holes in the sheet.
Perfect.
Exactly.
I've always wanted to be Daria from that MTV show.
Oh, yeah.
So one of these years I will do it.
So you guys better be looking for your costumes to come in the mail. That's all I gotta say. It's why I need more money in the mayor budget.
I'm gonna go with Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty because I still have the horns that my mom made me in 7th grade. So I like to continue to use them whenever I can because she put her heart and soul into those.
Yep, reuse, recycle.
All right, I will go. I just started watching this early this morning, was Cruella, the new Disney movie. So I would say Cruella DeVille. I would have to get a wig. I'm not dyeing my hair that color, even temporary.
It's Jenny's alter ego. I knew there was a side we didn't know.
Let's start rumors here. Or
You're gonna have-
Anybody
editing this.
missing a Dalmatian?
Jetty, you're going to have to get a different car.
True.
Right?
I'm not going to take the cop-out answer of saying a Civil War soldier. Instead, going to say that a generic character from the Wheel of Time book series, a White Cloak, would be the term. And I'd do it because the TV show comes out in November.
Now we all have to watch it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
really.
Yes. There's a trailer out already.
Alright. I think I'll be Elmo. My granddaughter just loved Elmo, so I finally dressed up as Elmo when she was 2 years old and surprised her, and she really still believed that Elmo came to visit her.
Oh my God, it's the return of Elmo.
Yeah, really. So,
Can you laugh like he does?
yeah, I tried.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say pumpkin. Because that was one of the things that my kids and I used to do in my younger days. And it was funny to watch them make fun of me because my costume was just very simple, and they thought it should be more than it was. But I'm going to go with the pumpkin. I thought about the M&M, but nah, we'll be healthy. We'll go with pumpkin.
'Tis the season.
So it's the four guys,
There you go.
the Marks, the Chief, and Howie.
Oh, all right, I'll go. Let's see. I could go as Monopoly Man, or I got accused of being Papa Smurf at one of the code enforcement issues. So either one of those.
Hey, I think that should be your nickname now till you retire. I'm not going to call him Howie. I'm going to call him Papa Smurf.
We could have a costume party for Howie's retirement. He can come as Papa Smurf.
I don't think it'll happen.
Hey, you guys decorate your house pretty cool for Halloween, don't you?
Not as much as Christmas or 4th of July, but
We could have a costume party and help decorate Howie's house.
I'll go as Al then, since he's going as Howie.
Oh God.
They're a little bit too tall.
you can all get your collar shirts and Packer hats.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Mark.
Are you? It's just going to be a standoff. Like poor Kelsey. She's probably like, yeah, I'm not going to work for these people.
Yeah. I keep hoping that her little square doesn't disappear.
Hey, I made it through.
Yeah.
I don't like the sounds of how wild this party's gonna get, so I'll just go with a uniform presence and call it a costume.
Oh no. Come on.
Keep you all in line.
Go classic
As a
cop.
firefighter. Don't you
Hey,
guys
dress-
like have that
dress-
brotherly love?
Dress as a town of Milton police officer or something.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
I'm sure Kunkel would love it.
How about
He'd probably hire
Kojak?
me part-time if I tried it.
Or
How about Kojak?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Were you born, Chief, when Kojak was a thing?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember it.
And you have to have a lollipop, Chief, then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have no imagination, so I'll just go as a land shark.
Land shark. More imagination than Mark and Al.
Yeah, really.
I like the land shark. That's a good one.
Okay, it's all of our disclosures for tonight. Good job, everybody. Good job. It's so difficult to come up with a fun activity for all of you every week. I sweat over it all the time.
You do a good job.
All right, Brian.
Consideration of a motion to
Oh,
convene and
Mark,
close.
Mark, yes.
sorry.
The land chart.
All right. Just so you don't need to redo the motion, the wording on the proposed motion is fine. There's a typo on the statutory number. So at least mine shows 19.52. And the number is 19.85 sub 1 sub C. The wording is all fine. It's just that number was just not correct.
So 19.85 sub 1 sub C, correct?
Correct, yes.
Right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Consideration of a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.85 sub 1 sub C, Wisconsin statutes, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility. City treasurer.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we'll be in closed session. once
And
the
just-
recording- Yep.
And just
Good
again,
night,
just
all.
make sure, since we're not doing a roll call vote, just make sure that the record reflects it's unanimous.
Okay, council, is there direction you would like to give city staff in regards to filling the treasurer's position?
Larry, you said it once before. Do you want to?
Well, no, you go ahead, Ryan, if you.
No, go ahead. You got the wording out before.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll try to remember. I'm getting older, so sometimes. What I would recommend or offer a recommendation that the city administrator and or leadership team continue to discuss and come up with a workable employment agreement for Kelsey, and including salary and benefits and background checks, etc.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, and Mark S is not unmuting himself, so.
Is that okay, Mark? I just want to make sure I covered.
Yes, that's fine.
We're just gonna drag it out all night. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. So congratulations to Kelsey. We hope you can be part of our team in the future soon.
We hope so.
Thank you all.
Kelsey, I'll reach out to you tomorrow. You'll probably
Okay.
hear often from Inga and I over the next couple of days, and I'm actually meeting with your boss in 2 days, so that'll be part of the reference check. See how clean your desk is and whatnot. So.
All right, sounds good.
Oh.
Okay, our next meeting is September 21st, 2021. And is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. Good work, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Have a good evening.
Good night.
See you later.